We've known for a long time about the toxicity of things like PCBs and lead and arsenic. We know that many of the chemicals in our everyday products, everything from cosmetics to paints to the stain guard that we put on our couch, those processes use chemicals that are also known to be harmful. We see an average of 2 new chemicals coming onto the market every day, and EPA approves those with or without safety studies. We even know that many chemicals used in our everyday products can cross the placenta. And in fact, when we tested newborn babies for chemicals, cord blood from babies fresh out of the womb, we found 287 chemicals in our group of 10 babies, an average of 200 chemicals in the babies that we tested.
Well, I've been covering occupational safety and health issues for about 30 years. And during that period, we've seen a lot of concern about chemical hazards in the workplace. I think the sum total of these is that many companies are looking at this. They're looking at the regulatory burden and the economic burden of having toxic chemicals. And what they're saying is if we can reduce that burden overall, we'll be better off in the long term.
We as a company have always taken safety very seriously for our employees. But over the last 4 to 5 years, we've placed an additional focus on our chemical management to reduce the toxicity and the numbers of chemicals that our employees use in our operations.
We're a group of investment managers. We manage about $22 billion in assets, and we're basically saying to companies, you should be adopting safer chemicals, policies, and practices. And this is part of a larger wave worldwide of investors going to companies saying, you need to adopt better social and environmental policies because they'll be good for business.
I started my career in industry. Typically, the way the things worked is a chemist would synthesize a molecule and then somebody else would rework the synthesis to gain environmental compliance. I said, well, wouldn't it make sense for me as the primary synthetic organic chemist to make them in compliance in the first place? That's fundamentally what green chemistry is to recognize the economic advantage to doing it right the first time. One of the reasons that green chemistry is so relevant to industry is the economics of it. If you work with traditional chemistry, you're paying for things 3 times. Okay, you're paying for it when you buy the material. You're also, if it's a hazardous material that needs special handling, you have to pay for all the regulatory implications and all of the special care. And thirdly, you have to pay for the disposal at the end of its use. If you do green chemistry and you have something that's environmentally responsible in the first place, you're saving a ton of money.
One of the only impediments to the implementation of green chemistry technologies is inertia, people being comfortable with the way things have always been done. But what we're seeing from so many companies is that green chemistry is being tied to innovation, the development of new products and processes to reinvent the next generation of materials and substances that we use. There's a myth out there now that in order to have the products and the processes of modern life, of modern society, that you have to use toxic substances, that you have to use toxic chemicals. Green chemistry is shattering that myth every day by having higher performance, higher capabilities, higher value products at the same time as you're protecting human health and the environment.
The good news is that many companies are looking at the chemicals in their products and they're realizing that if they reformulate, they'll do better in the marketplace. SC Johnson's Windex product is a perfect example of this. They reformulated the product, got rid of some toxic chemicals, they increased sales, they increased market share, and most importantly, they increased the effectiveness of the product.
We believe that we can reduce the toxicity of our chemicals by about 60%. We also think that we can reduce the number of chemicals that we use on our sites by at least 50%. And we expect to be able to save money in the process of improving our chemical management system.
One of the companies that we work with is a consumer product company. They went to the supplier of one of their products and said, there's an ingredient in this product that we're concerned about. And if you don't have this ingredient out of the formulation by next year, you're not going to be our supplier. The supplier responded, we can have it out next week. Why didn't you ask? That type of knowledge of what can be asked, what can be demanded of the supply chain, and letting your supply chain amaze you on their creativity and their innovation is one strategy for accomplishing green chemistry. When I was with the Environmental Protection Agency in the mid-90s, we worked with the White House in order to establish the Presidential Green Chemistry Challenge Awards. These awards recognize accomplishments in green chemistry for commercialized products. It's demonstrated over 60 award winners of everything from electronics to automotive to chemicals to agricultural products that you can achieve environmental and economic goals simultaneously. This has been duplicated in countries around the world, the UK, Japan, Australia, Italy, so it's really demonstrated this concept is more than a theory, it's practical reality.